Are you ready to get the embroidery unit set up and threaded? That's what we're going to do next. So first thing, what we're going to do is lower the feed dogs. Now I'm going to tell you, I don't always lower the feed dogs. Sometimes I forget. But if you do think about it before you put the unit on, well, you'll be able to get to them. So lower the feed dogs down. I've turned the machine on with the sewing machine only set up. So if I do want to just toggle over to the embroidery, that's what these two buttons are going to do. It goes between sewing and embroidery. But as soon as I put the embroidery unit on, it will switch over as well. So here's what I want to do. First off, the accessory box needs to come off the machine. And I've already pulled out and put on the R foot. And one last thing before the unit goes on, if you have a red clip still on the back part here, make sure you take it out and throw it away. You don't need it, but it did come to you as part of the packing part of this machine. And just go ahead and slide the whole embroidery unit on until you hear a click. Once you have the click, then actually, it doesn't switch over, so we'll switch it over for ourselves here. You'll get a message. First thing, remove the hoop, which obviously we don't have on. Clear the embroidery arm to calibrate the embroidery unit. So pretty much just move anything that you have around here, whether it's your coffee cup, your cat. Nothing can move or touch this particular arm while it is calibrating. Touch the green check mark. It is going to do this every time you turn it on. And that little noise at the end is normal. So if you hear it, you're set to go. Then we'll be able to get into the embroidery part of this machine. So just continuing with the setup, I am going to use some embroidery thread on our needle and then our bobbin thread. I'm going to wind a bobbin and show you what we're going to do here. Now, one thing I do like is the mega spool stand. We've used that a few times in our sewing machine videos. And it just sits right up here on your vertical spool pin. And it really just lets threads that are a little bit troublesome to handle just fine, and also great for winding bobbins. Sometimes you can get a hold of some bobbin thread cones that are really big, and that will allow you to use them easily with your machine. Now notice I am threading the machine with my bobbin thread, and I'm going to wind the bobbin through the needle. Now if you have watched some of our videos on the sewing side, we had a video that we tricked the sensor so that there's not as much thread left on it when the sensor finally goes off. And I'm going to do that again just so you can see. As soon as you slide the bobbin over, notice what comes up on screen. It is a push play button or go button. So you don't have to have your foot control plugged in. It's really just a touch here. So I'm going to hold the thread straight up. But as soon as I touch play, I'm going to take and I'm bumping the thread down so it only fills up that top part of the bobbin just a little bit, and then that way when the sensor senses that the bottom part is empty, because that's what triggers it, then you don't have very much left. I'm going to just stop it real quick. I'm going to cut this thread since it's so strong it's not breaking off. There we go. And we'll just go ahead and wind ourselves a full bobbin here. We'll speed it up and then we'll stop when it's done there. But if you ever have any bobbins that are a little crazy looking when they're being wound, try through the machine. Make sure your presser foot is up when you're doing it, and it really puts a nice wind on here. Of course, bobbin thread is a lot thinner, so you will find you're going to get a lot more thread. Now, if you ever need the thread to match on the back side of your embroidery, you can go ahead and wind it with the regular thread, but you're going to notice the distance, the yardage is so much less because this thread is so much thicker. You know what, honestly, I'm going to just go ahead, well, we'll let it go all the way. As you can see, they hold a lot of thread. All right, we'll just do that. Okay, and our little cutter is still up here. While I'm threading up the machine, let me talk about the R embroidery foot. This foot is the one that comes with your machine, and that's all fine and good. But I will tell you, just like using a thread stand to get a little bit more smoothness to your embroidery, there's one extra foot that you probably want to just plan to purchase. Is the sensor cue foot. So halfway through our videos, I'll go ahead and show you how this goes on. This is the foot that comes with all the top-of-line embroidery machines from Husqvarna Viking. So if it's good for the top-of-line, well, maybe we should look at buying it for this one. It just doesn't come with it because the R foot is set up also for free motion quilting and things. So when we go ahead and put our bobbin in, love it, just do your tension like normal. Speaking of tension, your machine will automatically reduce the top tension for your embroidery. So all those threads are going to pull to the back side, but we'll get into tension as well. Let's go ahead and talk about accessories and getting our fabric hooped and get into all the cool stuff that you can do with this machine.